Okay, here we go. We're hoping the lighting is better than last time. You didn't see it because I threw it away. Anyway, we're a minute in and we haven't done anything. Cool. Welcome. This is going to be the first video on Don't Forget the Champagne's YouTube channel. Very exciting. And the first thing we're going to be talking about is the first things that you should do when you get engaged. Holiday season is a big engagement season. A lot of people get engaged in November and December, and then I imagine the next step for most of them is to start planning a wedding. Step 0 is what I called it. But before you really start wedding planning, celebrate. Take some time. I know you might be a little overwhelmed by wedding planning, and there's a lot, but I'm a firm believer there's no such thing as too long of an engagement. Too short, debatable, but I mean, you can plan a wedding like real quick if you really want to. You just have to do what's right for you. Make sure to tell all your family, all your friends. I think family and your close friends should be told before you social media post, but then do your fun social media announcement. It's a good time. You're gonna get so many likes. And then just enjoy your time as a newly minted engaged couple. Wedding planning is stressful. There's no getting around that. Actually, I think there is, but we're not there yet. Wedding planning can be stressful, and it's really the start of like your new life together. So have a good time, enjoy it. Then once you're actually ready to start planning, here is my first steps. Step 1, budget and priorities. I kind of put these on the same step because I think you can kind of do them simultaneously. So priorities. You want to figure out what is the most important thing to you on your wedding day. What have you been dreaming about for a wedding? What have been some of your favorite things that you've done in other weddings you've attended? I think the best way to do this is to individually sit down and come up with 3 of your own, and then come together and use both of your lists to forces combined and make a master list of your top wedding priorities. If you have any more than 3 priorities, it stops becoming a list of priorities and just like a to-do list. If your priorities are like your photographer, your food, also your venue, and also you want to stay in budget, and also you want to invite all your guests, it's a to-do list. Also, it's probably not going to happen. I think I'll probably do a video that's more in depth on priorities, so let me know if that's something that you would like. Then budget. I think when people hear about budget, they like panic because anything that has numbers in it like takes them straight back to 3rd grade when you had to do those multiplication tables, and it's like scary. But budgeting really doesn't have to be scary. The only math you have to do is like a little adding. If you use a spreadsheet, which you absolutely should, it'll do the adding for you. And there's a ton of spreadsheets online. I may or may not be having a spreadsheet coming out soon on my website. Can budgeting be stressful? Absolutely, yes. Anything involving money, I think, can be stressful. Plus, you have other people involved a lot of times. A lot of times your parents or their parents or other family members are contributing, and you guys are probably contributing both. And this might be the first time that you've combined finances on a project of this scale, and you'll probably be spending like quite a large sum of money on this wedding. Most people do. So yes, it's okay if it's stressful, but also it'll be okay. Sometimes there's also an emotional difficulty level where you have to come to terms with the fact if you have a $10,000 budget, you're not going to be able to have like a Kim Kardashian flower wall and also feed your guests. And so sometimes realizing that some of those dreams and expectations are just not totally feasible on your budget, or they're gonna have to be reimagined. That's how we like to talk about it, is you're gonna have to reimagine some of these items because the way you initially imagined them just doesn't fit into your budget. It can be a little bit emotionally draining. So take your time on budgeting. It is not gonna be perfect the first time through, so don't feel like it needs to be, and take a deep breath. A budget is very important. You won't be able to stay on budget unless you have a budget. Number 2 is decide on a planner. If you're hiring a wedding planner, which I recommend, I plan weddings, link in the description, then hire them as soon as you can, because the earlier you hire them, the more that they can do for you. If you don't hire them until 4 months before the wedding, they're only going to be able to do the things that you have left on your to-do list. You'll probably already have your venue, and your catering, and your photographer. They'll be able to help you out with all of that. We're happy to jump in if you want to get the most bang for your buck. I know with my wedding packages, it's just like a planning package, so it doesn't matter whether we're working on your wedding for 18 months or 3 months. We have a couple different levels, but get the most bang for your buck. Get the most out of your wedding planner as you possibly can. If you are not hiring a planner, then now is the time to figure out what system you're going to use to keep all of your stuff organized. So there's digital planners like the Knot and Wedding Wire both have one. Again, there might be something coming from Don't Forget the Champagne soon, sometime this spring. That might be a good resource. There are paper planners. There are all sorts of things, but I think that you need to have some way to keep, there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming at you, so you need to figure out what system makes the most sense for you to keep track of it all. Third is, I think, the most fun. It's figuring out your wedding style. What do you want your wedding to look like? What do you want your wedding to feel like? What is the vibe gonna be like? Do you want a big wedding? Do you want a small wedding? Are you wanting something really elegant? Or are you thinking like a farm wedding? Not that that can't be elegant. That can be very elegant too. You don't need to get down to like picking the colors of your napkins, deciding what flowers go in your centerpieces yet. You're gonna wanna work with the professionals you're gonna hire, or even if you're not working with professionals, you're DIYing it later down the road. What we wanna do here is just make sure we have a general tone established, so when you start shopping for venue, which is typically one of the first things on your list, you know exactly what you're looking for. Venue tends to be one of the largest pieces of decor, if you want to think of it that way, that you have on your wedding day. So you want something that makes sense with what you're looking for. A venue can be beautiful and absolutely not make sense with what you're going for. So we want to avoid that. The next thing is probably, besides the budget, but maybe also including the budget, the most difficult thing you have to do for your wedding, which is establish a guest list. And again, just like your wedding style, you don't need this perfectly, but you do need to have a general sense of how many people you want to invite. And when I say general, I mean like a little bit more specific than totally general. Like you should talk to both sides of your guys' families, figure out how many friends you want to invite so you can have a pretty close number. Like you might be estimating based on how many people you think would be invited from your side and then just doubling it. But sometimes like you might be like, oh, I think like 30 people would be reasonable, and his side of the family, they want to invite 150 people, which might be fine with you, but a 60-person venue is going to look way different than a 200-person venue. So you have to make sure that everyone's on the same page with about how many people we're inviting from both sides of the family, both friend groups, your combined friend groups, any other people you might invite. Finalizing that guest list is probably going to take like UN levels of negotiation because everyone has some skin in the game, but we don't need to do that yet. You don't need to worry about that yet. That is another problem for another day, not for today. And then the last kind of initial step that we're going to talk about today is picking a venue and a date. And I will have a whole video on how to pick a venue because I think it is one of the most important steps in your wedding planning process and can be kind of tricky. So that'll be coming in the next few weeks. We're going to be having these Wedding Planning 101 series coming out every Wednesday. I know this one is not up on a Wednesday, but every Wednesday going forward, there's going to be a new Wedding Planning 101 series, and venue will probably be in like 3 or 4 weeks. So look forward to that. There's a lot of good stuff in it. One of the reasons venue needs to be so early on your to-do list and the first thing you knock out is because your venue will finalize your date. Even if you think you finalized your date, until you have a venue, you haven't finalized it. Because if you've decided that you're going to have a venue on this specific Saturday in October and all the venues you look at have that booked and you cannot find a venue that you like, is in your price range and has that date, then the easiest thing to do is to change dates. And the easiest way to do that is to make sure it's the first thing you book. They also might have some rules and regulations about who you can pick for vendors, so it's important to have them in place before you start piling on all the others, inviting other people to the wedding planning party. Except your planner. You can hire her first. or him. Maybe he's a boy. I know some guy wedding planners, and by some I know one. He's lovely. So that is all I have. Happy engagement if you're engaged. If you're not and you just love wedding videos, me too. I'm also not engaged nor married, but love weddings a whole lot. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Mostly my highlight just looks popping. Ooh. So pretty. Do I look too shiny? Maybe. I don't know. I need a real, like, a beauty guru to tell me, to let me know what the haps are.